welcome back to the Live Out Love podcast. I'm so excited to have such an exciting guest on the show. This is actually my cousin, well, second cousin, third cousin,
whatever it is, yeah.
We're related somehow. Sophia Light, and she's honestly like such a cool and big influencer of just like my life, and I've always like looked up to her since I met her, when you were 15?
Yeah.
Yep, and so I guess we're going to talk about like how we met, how we're related, and then I'm just going to interview her of all things life and what she does she has a podcast, she has a really cool platform on Instagram, and then did you also start a business?
Yeah, I have like a creative sweet business doing like graphic design and stuff.
That's amazing. So I'm going to give it away to Soph, and then she's going to talk too about how we met.
Yeah, okay. So we met when I was 15, so I'm 22 now. So if math serves correctly, that's 7 years. So since we actually have seen each other, well, we've seen each other in person like once since then, I think. But our moms are cousins. Mm-hmm. So whatever that makes us, yeah. So
somehow we're related.
Yeah, and I'm from Florida, so my all of my family grew up in Maine before my mom was born, and so we ended up traveling up to Maine, and I just kind of got to meet all of the extended family, which included lots of cousins, lots of aunts and uncles, and Olivia and I were like probably closer in age at the time. It felt like a bigger gap, and now it's like we're pretty much 20 and 22.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool.
It is cool. And it was funny, too, because, like, it's weird how you're related to so many people. And then, like, I didn't meet you until I was, in, like, 7th, 8th grade, maybe? Yeah. Younger than that, even?
You were in 6th.
Yeah, 6th.
Yeah, I would be a senior, technically. So if you're a sophomore, I think we're 2 grades apart.
Yeah, so definitely, 6th grade. And so I think it's funny, too, how, like, I just remember them being like, yeah, you have this cousin, like, you're gonna get along with her so well. And then she came to visit, and it was, like, one of the best summers ever. Like, I remember.
So fun. That was the best summer ever. I, like, concluded in my head that I would live in Maine. Like, I am going to live here. I love it so much.
You still can. You still have time.
I don't know if I can handle the winter, but.
You can come in the summer.
I would actually much rather live in South Carolina.
Really? I mean,
yes, oh my gosh.
It is pretty.
I love the city you live in.
In Greenville?
Yes.
Did you go downtown?
I've done everything in Greenville. Aww. I'm obsessed. I have so many coffee shop recommendations for you, like ridiculous.
Okay, you're gonna have to send it to me. Yes, I love that. Well, anyways, I just wanted to know, like, tell me about how you started your Instagram account, like how it got really popular, and then what you kind of like changed it to.
Okay, yeah. So back in 2020, COVID years, I moved out on my own. That's the year I turned 18. And I basically moved a few hours from my family in Florida. And at the time, I'd been leading a small group of girls. I was obsessed with them. I still talk to them all the time. They're seniors in high school now, which is like the craziest thing. So when I left, they were going into their freshman year in high school. Wow. And they're going to come stay with me for a weekend. Like, we're still really close.
That's awesome. How many were there?
What is it?
How many were there?
I'm really, really close to 3 of them still.
Okay.
There was probably a group of like 10, but I really connected to those 3. They actually watched, like, they were there when me and my boyfriend met for the first time 4 years ago. And so they're a really special part of like that whole story.
So sweet.
And they were like, oh my gosh, we think he likes you. You're not here for this, but they were so right.
That's so cute.
So really special. Like, they'll be a part of my wedding and all that stuff, which is
really
cool. But anyway, yeah, when I made the decision to move, it was very, I was going through a lot, and I just kind of was like, okay, I need to get out on my own. But the most devastating part of it was leaving my church family and leaving those girls. And like, I felt that the impact that I was able to have on them, like biblically, and like the stuff that I was able to like talk with them about, I was like, maybe I can continue that on Instagram. And so I ended up taking pictures of my Bible and just kind of starting an Instagram page. And I was just kind of learning like what aesthetics I liked and what like things I wanted to post and stuff like that. And honestly, when the whole world shut down, I just was kind of like, this is really where I can funnel my creativity. And so I just kind of started posting, and then I started getting connected to other Bible content creators on Instagram who were sharing my stuff. Which kind of just ended up gaining the traction that it ended up gaining. And so that started when I was 18. I'm 22 now. And so obviously my life has changed so much. Like my aesthetics have changed. My like content inspiration has changed, all of that. And so like, I never really wanted to like change what I'm posting. Like, of course I'm reading my Bible still. Of course I'm still going to post my Bible and talk about Jesus. But like going through the stuff that I had gone through, I was like, I feel like I can also have an impact in the mental space, the mental health space, And so talking a lot about like trauma and grief and losing a parent and like going through like loss and all that stuff. So I changed. So the original name was Spark.Passion.
Okay.
Really talking about sparking a passion for Jesus, which I ended up changing it to just Life with Sophia, so that people that have been following, it's still Bible content, it's still Jesus content, but it's also just living life together, which I feel like can have a greater impact than just sharing pages of your Bible, but also having like the life to go with it. So yeah, that's a little bit about that.
I love that, which I think it's so funny when you, maybe it was 2 years ago, maybe I reached out to you or one of my friends, but they were following you. And so I was like,
I remember this.
Maybe. And I like brought it up to them. They're like, what? Like, that's your cousin? Like, you're related to her? I'm like, well, yeah, third cousin. We're related somehow. But it's just so funny how, like, it definitely, like, reached out to so many people. And, like,
I didn't expect it all. Like, and honestly, like, when you are in the creative space and you watch other people gain popularity, let's say on like TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like that's so crazy. Like they're like famous or they have like a big following. But like being the person that has like a larger following, like it does not feel like that at all. Like it's literally like I had somebody come up to me the other day and they're like, wait, do I follow you on Instagram? Like I've been following along. And I was like, yeah, you probably. It does not. It's so like it's an out of body experience. It's not at all like, oh yeah, like there's followers. It's like, no, it's probably not me. Like that's weird. Like it's such a weird like experience.
That's so funny. I know, because it's like, it's not like you're famous yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's not like fame, but it's like, oh, like people know, like, oh, this girl posts this.
Right, yeah.
It's a weird way of like being known, I guess.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, that's so funny. So then after that, when did you start your podcast, and then when did you start writing your book? Was that later on?
Yeah, so obviously this whole like content course has been over the last 4 years. Podcasting, I have a YouTube channel too, but for some reason it's just not, it's so hard for me to focus on that. And I had a lot of people in my life telling me like, you know, we think it'd be super beneficial for you like content wise to go down the route of like podcasting. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So when I had moved out on my own, I want to say like a year into that, maybe a little bit more, like a year and a half, probably October of 2021, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I officially started my podcast. So it's been about 2 years. But I have not been that consistent. Like when I ended up rebranding my page into Life with Sophia, I ended up rebranding my podcast too, so that it could be more broad and anybody could be welcome in the space where I can talk really anything. So now it's called like the Saying It All podcast. So it's like you can just kind of talk. Yeah. Because it was mostly focused on just like Bible studies and like going through different books, which I'll definitely still include. But I wanted the freedom in the space to be able to talk a little bit more freely. And so, yeah, so I've decided to be a lot more committed and consistent. But I am working full time outside of that. So we'll see what I'm able to do while still resting, because it's important. But yeah, and then the book, I started writing. The book is like its own separate world in my head. It's basically a bunch of poems as I was going through like one of the hardest things I've ever walked through, which was in the year of 2021. Well, really the end of 2020 through the beginning of 2022. So it was quite a long time where I was part of a church that ended up being pretty abusive, and just a lot of like really unexpected, like scary things happened there. And never having gone through something that included, you know, the like overused terminology of like church hurt, like I was going through that myself, and I just really didn't know how to navigate that within the space of still having like a strong relationship with Jesus. So I just kind of started writing poems about like my life, about things that I was going through, like things that were too hard to explain with normal like words. And so then it ended up kind of turning into like just hundreds of poems. And I was like, okay, like I was writing them like every day, because I was like, I just don't know how to like navigate all the things that I'm feeling. And so once I finally decided to like leave the church, I was like, I bet it's not really about the church, but like you can see where a lot of these like poems came from. Like when you read through them, it talks through like my story, my childhood, and some things from the church, and some things just like that I was learning about God in the midst of like feeling like he was so silent. And so, yeah, so I ended up publishing that January of this year. So January 2023. But I probably finished it right around the time of like mid 2022, I think. And so, yeah, so after that whole experience, I was like, I'm just going to publish it. I just did it through Amazon and stuff, but yeah.
That's so impressive. I remember too when you came and visited, you had like a journal and like you would write even when you were little. Like,
Yeah,
and that
I still
inspired
have that
me.
journal from Maine. Actually.
Really?
Yeah, I have it like right over there. Like I still like I journal a little less frequently.
Yeah.
It's just a habit thing that I need to get back into. But I used to journal every single night, but specifically on trips. Like when I'd go to trips, like when I went to Maine, I would document every single
Yes, I remember, and you like put me on a journal kick. Like
Yeah,
I got a journal and started writing because of you.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's so fun. I was like, well, that's kind of how I am with reading too. Like I have convinced every single one of my coworkers to go buy the books I'm reading because I'm
That's
obsessed.
amazing. Are you, what type of like book?
It's just fiction, something to keep me busy.
I saw this summer you were listening to Emily Henry's books.
Yes.
Yes, I love her. I was reading them too, and I love them.
Yeah, they're so good. And then also, I just finished the Throne of Glass series.
Okay.
Like a very popular kind of like fantasy fiction.
I haven't heard about it.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's so good. It was 8 books.
Wow.
It was like collectively probably like 5,000 pages.
Oh my God.
But literally, I finished it a couple days ago. The amount of tears, the amount of sobbing. I just never expected me to react to books like that, but I'm just, the characters live in my head.
So that's really impressive. So
it's a great series.
How long did it take you to read 8 books?
I think I started it mid-July and I finished it like 3 days ago.
Oh my
gosh. A month and a half, 2 months.
And did you read them or did you like listen to the audio?
I read them, like physically read them. Yeah, audiobooks I normally say for just like easier reads, like fantasies or like things that are a little harder to grasp. I try to like actually read. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like because I supervise a coffee shop, like I have extra time, like when people just aren't there, so I'll read at work or like I don't know, like I'm trying to reduce my screen time. Yeah, I'm trying to not be on my phone.
Me and my roommate were talking about that earlier of like,
hey, if you need something to obsess over, I'm just saying that's what to do with your time.
Okay, you can give me a list of books because I love reading, but I used to always be into like the rom-com kick.
Yeah, no,
honestly, but I feel like it's so good. Okay, but the thing is, ever since I like started like dating someone, it's different. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've been dating someone for 4 years, but like I used to read them like being like, oh my gosh, I like wish I was her, and now it's like
just kind of like cringy sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of why like I don't read just like, but romance and fantasy is amazing.
Really?
It's different. Like I'll give you some suggestions. It's so good.
Do you read any like Christian books or nonfiction at all?
Yeah, I was on a big like nonfiction kick, but honestly, because of how much like I feel like I'm in the professional world all the time, like with just work and like managing and like all that stuff, like having something that I just don't have to think about, like I can just go read and not be like, oh, I'm gonna apply this to my life. Like it's just been nicer for the time being, so I haven't really read anything like nonfiction. I mean, paired with my Bible, yes, but like not necessarily like just for like fun reading. Yeah.
That's so true.
I want to take the pressure off myself. Like I don't have to be like learning all the time.
No, I like that. That's smart, because I feel like, especially in college too, like I feel kind of like if I'm not like doing like schoolwork or something, I feel guilty if I'm reading like a book that I can enjoy. Right. And then I have to think about, okay, like I'm not on my phone, I'm not watching TikTok, like.
Yeah, and I was talking to my friend about this the other day too, I was like, is this hobby not productive? Because I feel like you almost feel guilty for doing something that you like that's not like work. Mm-hmm. And I had to like rationalize. I was like, okay, like I spend hours easily like scrolling through TikTok and like I don't even remember those. Like I don't even remember what I've watched. And like to have like a bunch of books I read, because even if it's like fictional, like you're increasing your attention span. You're like, my vocabulary has like shot through the roof. Like literally like I'll be using words and I'm like, I know that.
I feel like you've already had a good vocabulary. I just you.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's so many good things that happen when you read, and like, reading is just good for your brain. So I was like, okay, like, I am going to just not be so hard on myself. Like, if I'm enjoying this, like, this helps me sleep better. Like, I'm on my phone. Like, it's just a good hobby.
That's awesome. That's so good.
It's an expensive hobby.
What'd you say?
It's an expensive hobby, but it's good.
I know, but the thing is, I don't know who I was telling this to, but I can't read on Kindles or like on my computer, like on like phone books. Like I have to have the real hard copy in my hands.
Right.
Well, I don't like hard copy. I like soft, like.
Right, I do too. I am a Kindle girl.
Really?
Yeah,
how do you get into it?
So the reason that I did was because I live by myself, so any dollar you can save is very vital.
You're right.
I am working for probably 3.5 weeks just to make my paycheck for rent. So I'm like, okay, we can't be spending $20 a book.
It's good.
So I ended up investing in a Kindle. I got the cute little green one. We love it.
Oh, that's cute.
And it's cheaper. Each book ends up being cheaper because they're selling like series and bundles and all that stuff. And honestly, I read so fast on Kindles. Like, you can ask anybody. Compared to like an actual physical copy, you read it like 2 times as fast. It's insane. I do love a good physical copy, but for some reason, but the fact that I can get in my bed and I don't have to turn a light on, I can just have the Kindle. That's amazing.
I like this.
Literally, I only charge it like once a month. Like, and traveling, like, you can take it everywhere. I think it's a really good investment personally. After like one book, you get really used to it. But I do love a good like physical.
See, you should work in sales. You're good at selling things.
It's just things I like, though. They made me sell like things I don't like. I don't think I can.
You're like, no. That's funny. Well, I also wanted to ask you about, tell like the people listening about when you graduated high school, how you got you got a degree in college?
I did, yes.
And then just all in the age gap because now you're 22. So like that is impressive.
Thank you.
Amazing. So I want to hear like the timeline of that and like how you did that.
Yeah, sure. So really a lot of my story goes back to just kind of like walking through a lot of traumatic things. My mom passed away when I was 16. And so that was something that kind of just like pushed me forward into a lot of decision making at a very young age. I went to a high school that I didn't particularly love. I went there because all my friends ended up going there, but it ended up just really not being the best space for me. Just a lot of, the classic like high school stuff. But I think because I had gone through so much trauma at that time, my dad wasn't in my life at all. My mom just passed away. I was just like, I just felt suffocated. I felt like nobody in my life, like that was my age, understood like the emotions and the feelings that I was going through as such a young, like really child at that point. And I was super involved in my church at the time. And I was talking to a few people who were going to this, what was it called? It was like a preview day for Southeastern University. But like a satellite campus, like right next to my house. Okay. And I was like, okay, like I'm willing to go, but I was like, I'm only a sophomore in high school. Like, I don't see the point. And they just were like, just come and like, we'll see, sorry. Like maybe you could take like a class here and there or something. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll go. So I went and I literally fell in love with it. I was like, this is the coolest place. Like, it was hosted at a church, but it was literally like an accredited university, like library, and like really cool thing. It was like this Christian, like, it was amazing. And I was like, I have to be here. I had to be here. So I talked to the administrator when I was there. I was like, hey, I'm 16. I'm a sophomore in high school. I was like, but I really think that I can like bust my butt this year and get all of my high school credits done. I was like, would I be able to attend as a 17-year-old? And she was like, hey, let's meet up with your, like, my grandma was my guardian. Let's meet up with you and your grandma and let's talk this through. And so I talked with my grandma and I was like, I feel really passionate about this. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to leave high school and I feel like I'm supposed to go and do this. And she was like, she was all on board. She was like, this is great. And so we had a meeting. I basically told them all the events of my life that led up to that point. And I was like, I don't have the money to attend a private university right now. I was like, but this is where I'm at. I need to get out of the high school I'm at. And I really think I can do it.
Wow.
And so they ended up giving me pretty much a full ride. I had to pay some out of pocket, but nothing compared to what we were assuming. But because there was a ton of scholarships I was able to apply for because of my mom dying, because of like not having a dad or like an actual legal guardian in my life, they ended up pretty much giving me a full ride, which was like such a blessing, literally crazy, which never would have happened at a normal college. And so it was just like the coolest thing. And so I ended up like, I stayed at my high school through the rest of sophomore year. And I literally took seven college classes on top of my normal high school classes so that I could get into the school for the next year and have all my high school done. I got I forget what it's called, but I had somebody like assess if I had graduated high school. So she came in and basically I got enrolled as a homeschool student and she graduated me. And so she went through all my records. She was like, okay, you're graduated. Like, you're done. I was like, okay. So
you didn't walk at graduation or anything?
No. I ended up, I actually didn't even wait for the rest of the sophomore year to end. I clocked out. I was done after the first like semester. I was like, okay.
Stop.
Yeah. So I did that. And then they graduated me and I jumped full force right into college classes right after that.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so it was literally like crazy. I feel like I'm missing part of the timeline here, but essentially I jumped right in. So I was technically a 2018 graduate. I should have been 2020. I still had a couple classes to finish up before I was like technically graduated. They just kind of like the homeschool lady helped me figure out all that stuff. And I just kind of jumped into my school. Now, the interesting thing about me finishing college early was that the reason that happened was because most of the students were over 18 there. Okay. So they were allowed to do something called a leadership track. I was 17. I wasn't allowed to do it because you were supposed to be like an adult when you like signed up for this leadership track because it was like super intensive. Like you were doing extracurricular things like 24/7.
Yeah.
So because I didn't have all those extra responsibilities, I took extra classes. So I ended up taking like 18 hours or something like that. 18 to 21. I had to like apply to like this thing to like see if I could take 21.
And what was your major?
Reason for me to rush like this. I don't know what the problem was. Did you ask something? Sorry.
No, I said what was your major?
Ministerial leadership. So ministry. Okay. And my classes, oh my gosh, it was just the best thing. Switching from my high school where I was like learning stuff that I was just like, this is so ridiculous, to like Old Testament survey classes and like New Testament, and like studying every book. I had to read the entire Old Testament in 8 weeks and take 100-question randomized exam on it. And it was like the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life, but it was so much fun. Like, wow. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It was hard to make friends because I was the youngest one there. They were all college students. They were like, who is this girl? Like, why is she here? So I feel like I learned a lot of independence during that time because honestly, like people were not as nice as I expected them to be.
Really?
But my teachers were phenomenal. Like they were the coolest people I've ever met. Most of them had like extensive ministry, like experience, and they were just like literally the coolest people. So I ended up finishing up in 2021, and then I did get to walk. I went to like the actual Southeastern campus in Lakeland, and I got to like actually have my like graduation robes and like all the things, and like I got to walk, and it was the coolest thing. And then that ended up being the first thing that my dad got to be like actively involved in. So he drove like 10 hours straight.
Once you were 18, right?
What is it?
Was it once you're 18, or did you?
I ended up graduating in 2021, so I was 19 when I graduated.
Okay.
And so right before I turned 20. So he drove like 10 hours, got to attend the graduation. That was the first time he met my boyfriend, which was so fun. Or not the first time, like they had met like one other time, but just having him be like involved was really special.
Yeah.
And then so graduated at like 19ish, 20, and then from there I had already moved out on my own. So I did the last of my degree online for the last year. Forgot to mention that. So it was a good time. It was very speedy. I also have you ever heard of CLEPing classes?
No.
So CLEPing is where like you basically decide I would like to take the test to pass this class instead of taking the actual class. And so I spent one summer in between there because there was one extra class I needed to be able to graduate in the time that I wanted to. And so I was like, okay, American literature. I'm just going to study it and see if I can pass this class. And so, oh my gosh, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Literally, I like studied all these like random, like it wasn't like fun reading. It was like boring reading. And I like studied it all summer, and then I went to take the CLEP exam. You had to go to like the Southeastern, like I had to drive 2 hours to the test, go in for this test. It was the hardest test I've ever taken in my whole life. Like you needed a score of like 50 to like pass. It wasn't like a 50 like F. It was like just like that was the amount you needed to pass. And I got a 52.
Oh my!
And so then I didn't have to take that class. And so on my like thing it said like CLEPT, and I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. Little do they know, I Christmas treed that and literally passed by luck alone. Like I do not know how I passed that. After that experience, I had been planning on CLEPing 4 other classes, and I was like, I am not doing that.
You're insane.
The hardest thing I've ever done. But like looking back, the reason I was going so fast was because I was like running from the trauma that I had experienced, and I was just like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
And while I do think that was the best choice, like I think God led me in the best direction, and like looking back, I would totally do it again. the reason I was going so hard was because I had a lot of like unfaced stuff, which I've since faced. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's just amazing. That's just so impressive. Like,
to me though, it wasn't like yes, like I get to do this. It was just kind of like, I felt like that was the way in which I felt God had been like leading me. I was like, this is the only way to go. Like, I need to go do this so I can just like move on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But like, if I didn't really know that part, I would just think that that's just you. Like, I just feel like even when I like again when I was younger and like seeing you, like I just feel like you were always a go getter, and like you were like you were just so like you strived and like we're so smart. And so I feel like just like if I didn't know that part, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like that's amazing, like that's crazy.
Yeah, thank you. I think I tend to be hard on myself. It was cool. It was a cool thing, but I think at the time too, it was like, I never wanted people to be like, oh my gosh, she's doing it to like look cool. It was like, I was truly like looking back, I'm like, I really was just running from a lot of the circumstances of my life. And like, that's really what God used to like heal me. Mm-hmm. But like, I do wish I had slowed down a little bit in there just to kind of, maybe not the schooling part, but like slow down to like have some fun or do something for myself. Like I've learned how to do that now, but I think at the time it just wasn't really on my mind.
That's really good. So when you were there, did you lived on your alone, like in an apartment, or did you like live in the dorms?
So because it was a satellite campus, there wasn't like rooming. I still lived at home for the first year. Yeah. Once I turned 18, I switched all my stuff to online. So I was just going to school online, and then I moved out into an apartment by myself.
Wow.
So I lived with roommates for a little bit. It was kind of like I literally moved like every 4 months, I swear. When I first moved to Orlando, it was such a fast decision to move that I ended up rooming with someone for 3 months, just kind of using her spare bedroom. And then I found an apartment with a girl I literally just met, lived there for a year. Then I moved and we rented a house with like actual roommates for a year. And then from there, I moved to where I'm at, living actually by myself.
Wow.
Lots of room, like moving and stuff.
Yeah, but that's amazing. That's so impressive. One of my friends, she just like transferred over to, is it SCU?
Yeah, Southeastern.
Yeah. She said she really liked it, but
in Lakeland.
I think in Lakeland, yeah. But she's from Maine, and then she like went there, and she loves it right now. But then I think it's so funny that, do you know Greta Wilson and Natalie Zayas? Yeah, they went there. Like, did you ever meet them?
I did not know that. No.
Yes, because I was like, I had a phase where I was like obsessed with them, and I wanted to meet them so bad.
They live right near me.
Yes, so you gotta meet them. They seem so.
Oh my gosh, I would love to. But here's the thing. That's the thing. Is like, it is so hard.
Yeah.
So even if you're in like the creative space, to meet people who are also in the creative space,
really?
There's like I've become friends with one, maybe two people, but not even like friends. It's more just kind of like internet acquaintances.
Yeah. Who are they? Like,
Skylar Rose. She just got married. She's a Christian. And then there was another girl, Nicole Donna. Okay. She lives in LA now.
That's amazing.
But we're not really friends. It's like we've connected.
The connection.
It's really strange. It's such a creative space that I feel like people, sorry, not creative. It's such a competitive space.
Gotcha.
That when people like reach out, I think that they think you're trying to like get something from them. So just I don't want anybody to think I'm being like ingenuine.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make friends in that space, but I would love to be their friend. Like,
I know, right?
And Greta and all those.
But it was funny because they both met their husbands at the school.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I think it was her YouTube channel. It was one of them where she was like talking about it. I was like, that's so cool. Like my cousin went there. Yeah.
Yeah.
She met Josh there.
That's crazy.
And I think Greta met her husband there too.
That's wild.
Yeah. So that was really cool. But I was going to say something else, but I totally forget. What else were we saying? Talking about the campus.
The campus, and your friend went there from Maine.
I don't know. Maybe it was just then. I don't know, but... Oh! Okay. I didn't know if I was going to bring this up, but I kind of want to.
Okay.
Just because I think it's funny. Do you ever, like... I don't know if you're, like, close with him ever, but do you still talk... Like, do you, like... Does Charlie and you, like, do you ever talk about, like...
Oh, I thought you were asking about Nathan.
I forgot about Nathan, too. But, like, is it funny that, like, I mean, you're two total opposite, like, social media. Right. But, like, I think it's so cool that you came from the same family and you both have, like, a platform.
Yeah, Charlie, internet known as Ross Creations. I think he goes by Ross just in general.
Yeah. So
I will forever be Charlie's little baby cousin. I don't think I'll really. I think when you grow up with people, and I was the youngest of all of them.
Yeah.
Despite my independence and like being a full adult now, I think they will always see me as like the little baby cousin. Like in their heads, like me getting married is a foreign like that's
I bet,
and I'm pretty darn close, you know. So it's like I think with Charlie, I spend most holidays with him and his family. I literally grew up with him. But yeah, we're not like close, but like there was a time where me and Charlie were pretty close. Like I would say probably more towards like middle school. So he was in high school, but I think now we're just living totally different lives. Yeah. I couldn't tell you a single thing about his personal life.
That's so funny. It is funny too, because once you like grow up, like everyone really starts doing their own thing. And,
I mean, I showed him one time. I think it was like 2 Thanksgivings ago. We did it at his house.
Really?
And he has like so much like security because he's literally so famous.
And see, I don't even know that, but it's so funny because every okay, this isn't a flex, but sometimes I'll bring it up to like
me too,
like guy friends, and they're like, "No way, you know him?" I'm like, "We're kind of related."
Yeah, for me, I'm like, like I go to his house for holidays.
Just like literally your cousin, like
right, and like we look alike too.
Yes, we do.
But like, yeah, I mean, I love the dude. We're just so in different spaces of life. I'm really close with his mom.
Yeah,
like, I talk to his mom like all the time, and like his and like I went and stayed at her house like just recently and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. He has like millions of subscribers and stuff. So I remember when I went to his house and Nana was like, "Oh, Charlie, Soph has like a platform too." I was like, "Don't even bring it up. don't even do this here now." I was like, "This is embarrassing." He has like millions, and I have at the time I think I had like 20,000 or something.
I just want to know like what he thinks about that. You know,
he was like, "You're doing a good job," and I was like, "Thank you." But like, he doesn't really like initiate conversation, so like, it's very hard to get anything out of him.
Yeah.
So it is kind of embarrassing because he's only ever met my ex-boyfriend, which was like such an awkward experience for everybody. So yeah. Unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, you know, maybe in the future
he'll meet the
good one.
Yeah. Most of them have not met him yet, which is a very weird thing.
Well, so that is so weird. But hey, like it's like I feel like that
we all just live far away. Like
You think like Florida, like I feel like if I lived in Florida, I was like, oh, like Soph lives in Florida. Like no, but like it's still like 2 hours, 3 hours.
Right. Well, you have to be committed to the relationship. I think the reason that like I really am disconnected from a majority of my cousins because I am so much younger. Like I'm 22, but they're all like there's some in their 30s, like approaching 40s. Like there's some like in their even some in their late 20s where yes, we're all in our 20s, but like I just am getting in there. And like I think once you pass 25, it's like anybody younger than that, it's just not who you really talk to a lot. I have some cousins like check on me and stuff, but it's more so just like, oh, my little cousin. It's like not really.
Can you tell them how many cousins that you have on your
I'm the 18th of 20 in just the first cousins, and then there's I don't even know how many cousins of my cousins have kids, like 5-6 kids, so I don't even know all their names, to be totally honest.
That's insane.
And in Maine there's however many, there's probably 20-30 there, and then there's on my dad's side I have 6, and then there's just so many of them.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're all
I'm the same way. They're all blonde.
A lot of them, a lot of them are. But I will say I'm the blondest of all of them, so I feel like I'm a winner.
You're a winner. That's hilarious, and that's people like pay for your blonde. Like
I'm so scared that it's gonna fade one day, and I'm like,
no,
I won't be a winner then.
No, it's okay. You'll always be there. Just get add highlights, and they won't even know.
They won't even know. But then when people ask me if it's natural, I can't say yes.
That's true.
That's like part of the winning.
You can be like half. Yes.
Yeah, mostly, but it takes it away. You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's so funny because I feel like my dad's side of the family, I have so many cousins, but then my mom's side, I only have 2 little cousins. do you remember Payson?
Yeah.
My aunt, so she has 2 little ones, and then it's just me and my brother on like our main family. So that's why I call all y'all like my cousins, because like you remember Ava and Liam?
Yeah, my very best friend in the whole world. She's like my second or third cousin.
Yeah.
Like,
Is it Kaylee?
Kaylee, yeah.
I remember her. Oh,
that's
crazy. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny how that works. And it's like I like my friends when they meet me, or like I'll like be hanging out with people. They're like, I swear you're connected to everyone. I'm like, it's just how it is. I don't know.
Families.
Yeah. Especially like both sides. It's like I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I know
Yeah.
that's crazy. So I guess you started the whole like the business of like designing logos.
Yes.
What? Tell me about that. And also, how can you design my logo, and how much do you pay?
I would love to do that. So basically, the first job I actually had. Oh my gosh, what was that? Okay, the first job that I actually had when I moved out on my own was a remote like social media graphic design position. So I learned a lot from that. I was working a lot on like Photoshop and learning a little bit about Adobe Creative Suite and stuff. I think by nature, like my existence is just creativity in any aspect possible. And a lot of that comes from reading because I get a lot of
Do you sing too?
What?
Do you sing too?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's my laugh.
Not like really that much anymore, but like I can do it. But
I remember you being really good. That's just
but yeah, so I basically, again, your girl lives alone. Any means of income is so vital and so necessary. And I was just like, you know what? I've been making like logos and doing social media management, all that stuff for years. It's like, I'm just going to make it into like an official thing. So I named it Studio Soph Co. I helped my boyfriend make his own company as well and like designed all of his stuff. Wow. And then from there, I just kind of created a website and all those things. So I make like, so if you see like brands that you like a lot, especially on like Pinterest, it comes with a lot of like extra things, not just a logo, but like a brand identity package with like patterns and like extra logos and little like icons that represent your brand and like literally just cute stuff, like even like typography. So like your like font style, like what your font is like, how your website can match that, and like your color scheme and your mood board and like all of these fun things. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna add it all. So people can either buy like just a logo where like I can design it and like do like revisions and stuff, or my favorite thing to do is like the brand identity packages, which does come with a logo, but it also comes with all of the files to be able to like run a social media well, like have your website and have all your fonts and like everything be cohesive, like have your color scheme and like all those things.
I'm texting you. I need to.
Actually, I just got to design my friend's, so she's starting like a secondhand like thrifting apparel thing, and we met up and she was trying to like design her logo. She's like, can you just do it for me? I was like, yes, I can. And so like I ended up designing it. It's literally so fun. And then actually her fiance, they're getting married I'm a maid of honor for 2 weddings right now.
Wait, so. Is it 2 separate people, like not
separate weddings? Yeah, and then my own eventually soon too in the middle of there. So I'm a bride, I'm a maid of honor twice. It's a lot happening. So I designed her fiance's social media package and like his brand stuff.
Wow.
It's my favorite brand I've ever done. I created this little character for him. He like specializes in like reselling like basketball shoes and does like basketball like one-on-one coaching and stuff.
Stop. That's
I
so
made this little character and his head is like a basketball and it's just the cutest thing. Like it has a hat and like it's so cute. So like I made the file where like you can just have like the logo or you can actually have like the character by itself.
Oh my.
And, like it's so fun. Like I got to create the color scheme. So like honestly that's basically what it is. I also do like website design if people want that.
Yeah.
And like social media management, honestly, whatever people are willing to like pay for, like I would just like I'll figure out how to do it.
So
I mean, it's not like business is booming or anything, but like it's available if people want that or things like that. I got to design recently like a real estate company's logo and stuff. Awesome. And even if they don't buy the brand identity package, I tend to make it myself, even if I don't give them the files, just so that I can like, if I were to fully design this brand, like how would I do it? It like enhances my creativity too, like being able to put different colors together and stuff. And so I'm not going to say there's a lot of time to do it, but because I do work in a coffee shop, there's so much downtime when I'm not like running certain things.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to be like creative and actually.
You were so impressive.
Thank you. It's really, it really sounds a lot more intense than it actually is in real life. Like, it's really not anything.
Well, it sounds amazing. Like, I love that. That's like right up your alley.
It's fun. Yeah, it's really fun. And honestly, like, the reason I started doing it was because, well, one, Shade, that's my boyfriend. Like, I really wanted it to feel special for him. I was like, I don't want it to just be like something that he like has to throw together, but like actually do it for him and like make it special. And then like getting to see my friend like get all the files of like her, like something that she's wanted to bring to life. It's so fun. Like, you get to like actually watch them post stuff and like help them make the post, and especially when it's your friends and you're not like on like a business basis.
Yeah.
I can just like send her little extra things. I'm like, look, I just made this for you, and like I just added your like icon to this picture, and like you can post this, and like helped her. I made her like presets for her Instagram, so like I actually went to Lightroom like designed a studio preset for her.
You can do that?
And yeah, it's so fun. I can help you with that too. You basically just go into Lightroom and you make your own preset, and then you can actually send them, and like it's really cool.
Okay,
that.
So, I'm totally paying you to do this for me.
I want to help. Yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. It's so fun. It's literally the funnest thing ever. Like, and then on top of that, like a lot of the stuff I do is on Procreate, so just drawing on my iPad.
Yeah.
But like I got the Adobe Creative Suite. I've never been more challenged in my life. It's so hard. It is so hard. Like all of the little tools and all the stuff.
I bet. Even the audition thing is like confusing. Like, I don't know how that's confusing.
Yeah. It's literally hard. And so I'll text my boyfriend. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm giving up designing. Like, but you just look up a lot of tutorials and you're fine. But I feel like I'm expanding my mind. And I had to like sign on for a year. So it's like, I have to learn it. Like, I can't give up because I had to pay for it for a year.
And I'm sure once you learn it, you're going to be like a pro at it. And
it's fun. It's just, there's so many tools, like, which is amazing. Like, you can do so many things, but it's like, how do these people just click all these buttons? What do they do? I'm like, I am not an engineer. Like, I majored in ministry. Like, I don't know like what to do.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
well, I love that. Well, I guess that's really all of my little interview questions, but do you have anything for me or for the people listening?
Yeah, I will say, like, this is just like the cutest, sweetest like platform. Like, I'm like, as like your cousin who kind of like watched you grow up from afar, like we spent a ton of time together. But like, I'm just like so proud of you for like stepping out, and, like, especially being in like a secular college and all that stuff. Like, it's so hard to do that. Like, for me, it was easy because like I was surrounded by a bunch of Christians, but like to actually put yourself out there in a space where most people aren't. And like really just not living good lifestyles and stuff like that, like being the example is really, really hard and can weigh on you emotionally and mentally and physically, and you get really, really tired. So like, just keep doing it with people that like share the same vision. Make sure that you have like people around you that can encourage you, because it gets so hard to like actually do it. And so just keep doing it, like keep doing your thing. And I think it's so fun, and you're really doing such a phenomenal job. Like, even just like, you're so natural, like asking the questions and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I'm just really proud of you. Like, keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. So like, I'm cheering you on from far away. And if you want to come stay with me in Florida, come do it.
I will. We'll plan that.
A whole really comfy couch.
Okay, perfect.
Apartment you can come stay in.
Hey, and you live in Florida? Win-win.
I'm just saying. It's fun. It's a good time. I can give you free coffee because I work at a coffee shop.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I guess, too, do you have any, like, advice, like, as, like, I guess you were young in college, but for maybe college students that are like, at Clemson, that are in this secular environment, kind of like what you said to me, but for them, just, like, throughout their college years?
I think it can get really overwhelming. I think, like, something my grandfather, who basically like raised me, like drilled into my head, is like, the choices that you make now in your friendships are everything. Like, the friendships that I have are the reason that I've stayed so strong, because like, I'm not going to lie and say, like, going through the things that you go through just in life, not even like super traumatic stuff, like, it just gets so overwhelming, and it's so hard to like actually be on fire for Jesus. Like, you do not feel on fire all the time. Like, you don't feel like reading your Bible. Like, there's so many times that I haven't read my Bible, which like nobody would know, because it's like social media makes it look like it's reading all the time. It's like, no, there'll be weeks that have gone by. Like, it's not like some glamorous lifestyle where it's so easy to be a Christian, like make the choices that you make. And like, it's just, the more friends you have around you, or at least like a close circle of friends that can encourage you, and you can actually like talk through stuff that you're going through. And honestly, the most pivotal time for questions of your faith, and like questioning if God actually like loves you or like is there or like is going to stay silent forever happens when you're 18 to 22. Like it's so rough. And like I had so many questions, which is actually a majority of what my book is about, is God feeling silent and like being like, okay, like, are you ever going to come back and show back up? Because like I feel so by myself. And that's kind of like, I feel like college is a place where you kind of feel like distant from God a lot of the time because you are going through so much. And so having those friends that can encourage you is so special. And having like a platform they can listen to, like listening to this podcast to get encouraged. Like fellowship is real. Like when the Bible talks about having people in your life that can pour into you, not just mentors. Of course, having mentors is so important, but having people in your same age range, like having the friends that I do, like I have, you know, 3 very, very close friends that have like stuck with me through everything and are also Christians, like has just helped me so much. And if you can't find those friends, go out and find them, join like a community that like where you can find a friend that can be there for you. Cause I think that's the most vital part. And then the obvious stuff, read your Bible, all that stuff. But like it comes with having encouragement from people in your life. And so like, I think that's like my biggest advice. Like having those friendships is so important. It's so important.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Right on. So that was awesome. I needed to hear that too.
Yeah, me too. Like it's rough out here. Like I'm technically the age of a college student. I'm not in college, but I am kind of, you know, and like I'm going through the same stuff. Like, you know, it's just like a different part of my life kind of, you know, living by myself. But like, I need that encouragement all the time. Like my friend will call me. She's like, how are you actually doing? I'm like, not good. Like, I didn't read my Bible. Like you know, and like, they'll encourage you. And then they'll be like, yeah, me either. Like, how can we fix this? Like, what can we do to like make this better? And just having people that actually care about your well-being. You know, it's just gonna aid you in every part of your life. And now getting to be like a maid of honor for 2 of my best friends getting married, like it's just such a sweet thing. Like you're watching them join with their like person like forever, and you get to be such a big part of that. It's just really special, especially like going through all the hardships in your walk with Christ and like in just normal life, and then getting to watch them like get married and be such a special part of it. And so finding those friends is really important, because then you get to be part of like their actual like life experiences. So it's cool.
I love that. That was so good. Well spoken. Well said.
Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna tag all like your podcast and link maybe can I link your book in my little like okay, and then I'll like tag you on all my Instagram so everyone that's listening can follow you and keep up with your amazing life and your cool platforms too. But thank you so much for coming on, and thanks everyone for listening. This has been so fun.
We need to catch up more. We'll plan calls or something, and then you can come stay with me.
For sure, yes. Well, I'm going to sign off to everyone, and then we can keep talking after I end the recording. Bye, guys!